What is up, everyone? I'm Skratch. Welcome to the channel. And guess what, guys? Today we are not alone. And I don't have just one guy on the channel here, guys. We actually have 4 more different dudes. So it's a 5-man army. And today we're going to discuss about the other form of the new clan boss. We're going to have a look at the skills and kind of like share with you guys a bit our expectations related to the new content, related to the rewards, because that's the most important part. But before we get to all that exciting stuff, Nobs, Ash, MTG, Cold Brew, what's up, guys? How you doing?
Yo!
Hey. Great.
What's up, Skratch?
Doing good, yeah?
Who speaks first? There's so many.
I think we're all like, should we all talk at the same time?
Like, don't be too shy, guys. Don't be too shy. You know, it's fine. But yeah, guys, what's your take on the new clan boss so far? Yesterday they leaked one of the forms, right? I feel like it's pretty safe now to say that the new clan boss will be a Chimera. Correct me if I'm butchering the name right there, guys. But we had a Viper yesterday. Today we have the Ram, so we're gonna have a look at all of those skills in there, guys. And what do you think about it? Let's start with Nubs, so you guys are not getting shy here.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I thought the Viper form seemed fairly straightforward, right? Block debuffs and you're good. This form, we don't have one of the moves. We're still missing like half of the effects. But this form definitely seems, I think, a little bit scarier. And to me, it's definitely interesting, like the different champions you're going to have to bring in. Like we need block active skills potentially for the Viper form. Now, this form, it seems really important with this new duel effect, right? That you need fear or true fear. And quite consistently as well. It seems like every time the boss takes a turn, that fear or true fear can be gone. And you want it on. Otherwise, the boss is taking half damage from almost everyone on your team. So fear suddenly becomes really important, which is not usually a debuff that you're thinking about anywhere in the game. So yeah, that's really going to mix up the sort of teams we're going to need to put together for this.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like it's going to be pretty challenging. What about you, Ash? I'm not sure how much you actually had a chance to catch up with all of it.
Yeah, man. Nub just said it. Like the thing that sticks out most to me so far is the fear and the true fear. Really, you know, like obviously to that scary element that Nubs mentioned is like there's a lot of this new head or whatever, this new form seems to be geared towards also mitigating that fear and true fear, right? So that's kind of the scary part, but I think overall, like, especially in lieu of the changes of Hydra that I'm sure everybody's very well acquainted of, it is a little nice to get, lest I be a little positive and say that I'm actually excited about having a new clan boss. Like, I mean, who knows? I can imagine it's going to be pretty sloppy, just given every game mode they've released has been pretty iffy at first launch. But I'm most excited about just something new in the game, right? And because Siege, for me, it feels like it's like once a month or something like that, and it's still a very flawed mode. So like something new collaborative that we can do as a clan together, like that's what I like doing the most in the game. And I really like that it seems to be fear and true fear play a big part in terms of like those essential debuffs. I like when new content to the game can add viability to an underused debuff or part of the game. So I really, and fear and true fear is definitely that. Think of all the fear and true fear champions that have no use case in the game, from like Mass Fearmonger to Fortis to Noble and everyone. It like actually gets you thinking, wait, who has fear and true fear in the game? Like Harvest Jack? Like who am I going to be using here? So I like that aspect of it, that it gets you thinking about champions you probably haven't thought of in a long time.
Yeah, 100%. What about you, MTG? What do you think?
I think my favorite part is everyone's favorite part, and that's the visuals. I'm literally like bursting with joy to see a freaking Chimera that we can fight. I'm so excited, like I can't even tell you, because that's like one of my favorite mythical creatures, and I've never seen a good visual of it. And this is Raid's specialty, right? This is Plarium's specialty. So I just can't wait to see what the boss looks like and actually fight it.
Yeah, that's definitely a very good point. Actually, I think they're gonna nail the design on it, because as you mentioned, you can't really find any good designs anywhere online. You know, like I actually looked a bit as well, just to kind of like throw in a couple of nice pictures, but honestly, they are not looking great. What about you, Cole, bro?
Yeah, I'm also really excited about this one. It's going to be like a new challenge. It's a new puzzle that we'll have to solve, basically, making teams for this. It just makes me wonder on whether it's going to be like these all different forms, like the Viper form, the Ram form, and then more forms that we're going to learn about pretty soon, I'm guessing. It's like, I wonder if it's going to be during the same fight, or if it's going to be something like rotations we have for the Hydra, where it's this rotation is going to be the Viper form only, and then maybe the ultimate format that they say it's going to have, which we don't know anything about yet. So I'm still not sure on how this whole thing is going to go, or whether we'll have to make a team that has to beat every single one of the forms in order to do max damage.
Gotcha.
So it's very interesting, very interesting. All the speculation that we're doing, like the thought process behind, okay, what have they thought of next to make us just break our heads trying to get our teams going.
Yeah, 100%. I think they're gonna definitely give us a lot of work to do. Personally, I'm excited for new content, a new clan boss. Like, it's always been some of the best content in the game, right?
Yeah.
I feel like it's gonna be challenging. I do think it's gonna be the same sort of flop like Hydra when it got released, you know. So it's gonna slowly build up, but it looks very challenging, you know.
Yeah.
It has five. It has like the old Demon Lord difficulties as well, like from easy all the way to Ultra Nightmare versus just going to Nightmare for. I also intriguing is the rewards. There's been like no teasers or anything like that you guys have seen, right? And like what free. Not free. What farmable champion is going to be associated? Is it going to be a Mythrala-esque game changer, or is it going to be underwhelming? You know,
it's got to be something good, right?
Yeah. If you guys remember when we had a meeting with them, right, behind the closed doors, and we were talking about whenever they're going to release the new game mode, we weren't sure if it's going to be the new clan boss, right? But I said that just add some primals, add some soul stones, some books, and people will be happy. And they were like, no, it's going to be much better than that. So I'm very curious to see, personally. Very curious.
Okay.
I missed that meeting. That's interesting
Yeah.
to hear.
Oh, you were there as well, bro.
Oh, wait, was that the one I was there at?
Yeah.
I missed the last one.
You missed the last one. You weren't there. You weren't there. You were in Japan.
I was in your dreams, Skratch. That's all. That's okay.
There's been a lot of info that's been that's been leaked from this closed door meeting. I will say that, right? But I mean, the cynical part of me says that
half open door.
The cynical part of the cynical part of me is just like, okay, is it gonna? What's much better than primal shards? Is it a new resource for a new scarcity of thing that most players will never get, or is it really something that's like super useful that's hard to get inside the game right now? I don't know if you guys have any leans on that, but I guess it's kind of a wait and see for the most part. It's probably some artifact set or whatever, right? In a champion.
100%.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a champion because that's the only thing better than some shards or books, right? I feel personally, okay, sorry to interrupt you there, Nubs, but personally I feel like I'm over this a new artifact set that's OP for the new game mode, right? I'm so over them. Like, we've got so many recently, just new artifacts, power creep, and I feel like to me just that as the main reward is not appealing enough anymore. And I'm end game, I want to get the best possible gear, and that stuff is not appealing to me anymore. So I don't want to imagine the rest of the players that are not too stressed about gear, right?
You know what it's going to be? It's going to be a 9-piece that has Fear or True Fear on it because they killed Curse. Not killed. It made Curse better, but they got rid of the Fear, right? When they had the Hex.
Yeah, I'm one thing I'm curious about. I did a poll on my stream earlier today asking people, do people think Void Mythicals are coming? I was on the side of no. I didn't tell them, but it was 30-70. I was surprised. 30% of people were like, yeah, it's Void Mythicals are coming with this thing. I don't know what you guys think. Or if you're like, nah, no way.
Well, going back to closed door meeting number one, this is like a year ago. I asked that question. I was like, please let the answer be no, but are Void Mythicals coming? And I guess we can just share all the answers on the closed door at this point, right? But they were like, at that point, this is like a year ago, though, they said something to the effect of, no, not for a long, long time. But is a year a long, long time in Raid? Maybe. Do they need more money? And if so, then they're coming.
Never say never with Raid. So
yeah, I mean, they might. The thing is that kind of like the Great Void, even though it's not really related to the affinity of the champions, right? But the Great Void, all that
it's
big
in there,
Great
man.
Void,
it's all a big long con.
Yeah, so who knows? It might be the introduction of the very first new Void Mythical champion as a reward, maybe something much better, right? And then it might be a while till they actually introduce the new Void Mythical champion, so maybe they're only going to do it next year, and that is, let's just say, a long time, right? Who knows? But yeah, the Ram
I'd
form,
love to see Chaos Ore
Chaos Source.
as a reward. Like, we don't really get Chaos Ore anywhere as a reward, so that would be an easy one. And I think like we could use some more glyphs. That would be a great place to put this in. And I'm hoping that we get a normal mythical, no void mythicals. No, I'm not down for that. But a normal mythical would be a great reward for players to be able to earn.
Yeah, but
I think it's going to be
limited. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a void mythical because I wasn't even putting two together until you mentioned it, Skratch. But the fact that it's freaking called the Void Rift or whatever it is, in the game, it really, the writing is on the wall that it's going to be, because right now you can't get mythical skill tomes from anywhere. So it's going to be a way to access the most premium resources, which are whatever the heck. Right. Fragments of a shard that we need to pull a void mythical, plus mythical skill tomes, plus like that's my guess. I think that's probably spot on, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, well, I guess we're gonna find out probably in what, a week, 2 weeks. They usually start leaking stuff like a couple of weeks before, right? So I'm expecting this major patch to drop either next week, either at the beginning of December, right? That's how they're usually dropping their big patches. So
December,
we have a little bit of time to kind of like theory craft all of this, but let's dive into the new skills, guys, quickly. We're just briefly going to talk about them to kind of like get a better understanding of the second form. The reason why we kind of like called it a Chimera is because the second form is called the Ram form, guys. So we're just missing the lion or whatever else we have involved in there. This time around, they actually scattered all of the skills, half skills, to all of us. So we're still missing something from Hell Hades, who's actually away. We don't have that, but guess we're gonna find that out probably tomorrow or the day after. So starting with the very first skill, guys, I'm quickly gonna read it so all of you guys can kind of like hear it, and we're quickly gonna give our take on it. But this one will attack 2 times at random. The first hit will prioritize an enemy under a dual effect. We're gonna get to the dual in a second, guys. Each hit decreases a target's turn meter by 50%. If the target's turn meter is less than 50%, also places a stun debuff for 1 turn, and grants an extra turn if a stun debuff was placed by this skill. This boss sounds like a pretty naughty one, huh? What do you guys think?
I mean, a couple of things straight away. Number one, speed tuning looks like it's not going to be a thing, right?
Yeah.
If you're getting random hits with turn meter reduction, that breaks a speed tune, unless it's doing super high resistance, but even 3% chance to fail seems unlikely. And it seems to me as well, you definitely want to have block debuffs. If you get stunned and he gets an extra turn, like that's going to wipe you out, right? So it seems like block debuffs extended is almost essential. And looking at some of the later skills, potentially protected is really important as well, which is tough.
Yeah.
But,
Ash?
No, I agree. Block debuffs and 9-piece protection or an Altrian Blade Master or something like that would be great to have on the squad, because you can mitigate the stun with block debuffs, but then it gets removed and you get decreased speeded and everything like that. So it's definitely tricky, but I do think that at first glance, to Nub's point, I think it adds even more viability to as much protection as you can get on there, right? Buff extenders as well.
Yeah, what about you guys? MTG, Cold Brew, agree with...
It's definitely Jingwan's time to shine, guys.
Yeah.
Bust them out, build them up. I actually love that guy.
A lot better now,
Yeah, but I mean,
I used him a lot in the
new
in the event dungeon as well. Yeah, solid. Cool.
Yeah, I think the turn meter control is going to be so annoying to build teams with. It's so much turn meter manipulation that you can't really just say, oh, it's going to be fine. So I kind of don't like that thing, because I like speed tune teams. I don't like the, how Hydra is and how messy it can go. So I think players just enjoy more consistency with their teams, like the Clambos had. That's why there were so many teams built for that one. Comparing it to the Hydra, where it's basically where you have specific skills and then you put some speeds. And when we did have some sort of teams that had some consistency, they nerfed them. So I wonder how this is going to go with the Ram form, though.
That's definitely
how it's going to be.
Definitely out of the door. We're not going to have speed tuning and stuff. So moving over to the second skill, guys, we have Hammertail Quake. attacks one enemy, then attacks all other enemies, because attacking one was not enough. Increases the damage dealt to all other enemies by 1% for each 1% HP lost by the initial target, stacking up to 50%. Places a stun debuff on all enemies, except the initial target for 1 turn, and also decreases the turn meter of all enemies, except the initial target, by 50% if the stun debuff was resisted or blocked. Wow! Then removes any block debuffs from all enemies. Finally places a decreased crit rate, decreased crit damage, and a decreased speed debuff on all enemies for 2 turns. So wow, this is a bit intense, don't you guys think so?
Yeah, for sure. At least we know why decreased crit rate and decreased crit damage are in the game now.
Yeah, to mess us up.
Right?
Yeah.
Again, protection set is really looking very strong. I presume protection set stops block debuffs being removed, and
Yeah.
that protects you from all of those. So that seems extremely important. Also, for me, the decreased speed is annoying. The decreased crit rate, crit damage, there's a lot of champions that just don't care. So that might become an affinity thing. It's really unclear right now, as you can see on the screen, right? What affinity will this be? Does it rotate? How does it work? Like, potentially you might be picking damage dealers that are strong affinity. At least that gives you some chance to not have those debuffs happen. I'm not sure. Or maybe it just places it and it's not tied into the attack. I don't know. So that will depend. Maybe affinity matters. Maybe it doesn't.
Definitely is going to be a pretty interesting one. Let's see the next one then. So we have the
Mystery.
The A3 skill with a bit of a mystery, guys. We're missing that part from Hell Hades. So, I mean, there's a lot of text in there. There are a lot of buffs, debuffs by the looks of it. But I can tell you that increases the damage inflicted by 10% for each buff converted into a debuff by this skill. So I'm assuming it converts the buffs that we have into debuffs on our team, right? If the damage dealt by this skill is equal to or greater than 20% of the max HP, repeats the attack. So, it's definitely very overwhelming. So many different things, right, guys?
Yeah, this one seems like shields, unless shields are changed. But shield doesn't have like a negative form of a buff, so it can't really be converted. You'd think shields are probably essential. Like that, 20% max HP is really not a lot, is it? So, most damage dealers, for instance, they're going to take more than that. Then they're going to be hit again a second time. Like, that could just one-shot a damage dealer. That could be really nasty. So, yeah, it really depends what buffs they change. But, I would be guessing that shields, probably ally protection, I think, also doesn't have a negative.
Yep.
So those buffs are probably going to be very important for this as well.
Interesting stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, the same thing. Shields, like damage mitigation like that. I think that's going to be great. And I think that you're just starting to kind of map out in your mind right now. Just seeing it all in text is difficult, especially when we don't know on the Hades side, or we also don't know the next whatever's to come after this. But you're starting to piece together, okay, what am I going to need for this sort of encounter, right? And like cleansers, buff extenders, protection sets, fear, true fear. Because when you look at on the fourth passive, I'm sure you're going to get to it, not to get ahead of ourselves, but like he's immune to every CC effect except for fear and true fear, right?
Definitely. A pretty interesting one. Then we have the Metamorph. Transforms the new clan boss into its ultimate form and removes all buffs and debuffs. So I'm not sure exactly if it's just going to use the skills, then instantly Metamorph to a different form, or what exactly is going to happen. But it's definitely going to be a pretty interesting one, because we only have one true mythical boss in the game, right? Amius. And he does have a pretty straightforward mechanic on how he's actually metamorphing, what exactly is causing him to metamorph, right? But here is very unclear for the moment, though.
Yeah, it's like the only straightforward thing about him. It's just
exactly
the metamorph. But
I mean,
I don't know. To me, it's like my question, you guys, is the ultimate form. So it seems like it's a progressive. Like obviously, it gets harder and harder as you go. Does that mean that a third of your clan is going to be going against just the ultimate form, or is it going to be like, is this going to live inside a one encounter per player?
I think I would assume so. Similar with Hydra, I think they will do it like that, unless it will just change affinities. I guess they might.
It's weird
might
too,
surprise
because
us.
yeah.
I was going to say with Amius bugs out. The background's supposed to change. It bugs out constantly. So hopefully this boss will actually work properly and it won't metamorph and still be in his base form or something. And you're
Don't
like,
ho-
what's going on, man?
Don't hold your
There's gonna
breath,
be
bro.
so many bugs.
I know.
Gonna be so many bugs at the launch. It's
Yeah.
It will, yeah. And then we have the second passive, guys. When the new clan boss is under a fear or true fear debuff, the damage reduction effect from duel does not activate. Decreases the chance of a fear or a true fear debuff activating on the new clan boss by 25%. So that's a bit of a reap in there. Increases the new clan boss turn meter by 50 whenever a skill of the new clan boss doesn't activate because of fear or true fear, and removes any fear or true fear when the new clan from the new clan boss after activation, including protected debuffs. And it has an active effect at the beginning of the new clan boss turn. Places the dual effect on the new clan boss and the enemy with the lowest crit damage, and this effect cannot be resisted or blocked. Interesting. So fear will play a pretty important role, even though it is decreased to 25% instead of 50, right? But it seems to be pretty mandatory to have a champion with fear. So all of you Fortus fans right there, start clapping, start dancing, because it is happening. Oh, and then we have the other passive, guys, which we are kind of like missing a part of it. Basically, one attack reflects 25% of the damage the new clan boss receives back to the attacker, unless they are under a dual effect. And we're gonna get to the dual part in a second. So many different things. Like, I feel like Hydra was as it was, right? You know, there are 4 different heads, 4 different bosses. They all have their own mechanics and stuff. But I feel like this is topping off Hydra by miles. I don't know about you guys. And we only know the skills of 2 forms so far, huh?
Do you think we're gonna fight like multiple forms at the same time, or like multiple forms in the one fight, or like one different form a day? Like, I don't know. MTG, you said you're an expert on chimeras and stuff like that. Like, is it typically like fighting one head at a time, or does it alternate?
No, it's more like one monster most of the time.
Okay.
So I would think it would be like Hydra with the multiple heads. And then each of like the ram is a head, like one of the Hydra heads, and the lion is one a head. So I would think we'd be fighting all of them at the same time. And then with that mythical transformability, we would be changing the form. So it's even possible like we would only be getting certain ones of those skills. Like maybe it doesn't have the A3 or something in the first form. Like there's nothing saying we have all of those abilities in each form, but maybe there's just a lot more complexity there too. Like you could have more than one form of each of the heads, so that once you beat that first form, then you're opening yourself up to a completely new skill set. It's really hard to say, but I would say probably acting very similar to the Hydra with the different heads.
Wait, are you saying there's going to be ultimate forms for each one of the heads? Like different versions of them? Like Ultimate Viper, Ultimate... Is that what you mean?
Yeah, because in the skill set from yesterday, it has its own metamorph passive, right?
Yeah, it did, yeah.
It does, yeah.
So essentially, each of them could be transforming into a different version, or maybe it transforms the whole thing.
Yeah, I'm thinking more that you fight the lion as an example, right? It has all of the skill sets that we're gonna find out probably tomorrow. Then it metamorphs into the ram. Then it metamorphs into the viper. That's what I'm thinking, you know. But
That'd
it might
cool.
be different, yeah.
That'd be cool.
And
on the Viper, did the text say metamorphs or transforms into ram form or ultimate form? What was the exact verbiage?
It says transforms the new clan boss into its ultimate form and removes all buffs and debuffs, yeah.
Very interesting. I don't know. I feel like my best guess is probably similar to what Jedi said, is that we actually fight multiple heads at once, but all of them have an ultimate form that they switch in between, you know?
Yeah, might be.
Because how could it work otherwise, right? Like I said earlier, it's not like you're going to be like, all right, I stopped during the snake form or viper form to have at it, rest of the clan. Like, I feel like there needs to be some continuity between each battle, right? And it makes sense if they all can metamorph into a different version. Maybe
I
we just don't have
don't-
that info on the ultimate yet, you know?
Not yet, no.
I don't think it's going to work like this, but I thought it would be really cool if you defeated each form as a clan. But I don't think it's going to work like that. Like, we fought the ram form as a clan, and once that reached 0, then our next key was the lion form or the snake form. But I don't think it's going to work like that, though.
I like that as well, because it opens up a lot of strategy too. Like, do you want your best attackers to quickly get to the final form, and then or do you want, like, there's a little bit of a macro strategy that's not there right now with anything else, you know?
Yeah.
There we go. Player will watch this. They can use that for a future boss.
We have
Future
quite a
boss.
few new buffs, debuffs by the looks of it, guys. We don't really have info from the ones that were announced yesterday, but we have the dual effect right here, which sounds pretty interesting. So the dual effect is placed on the producer and their target. When the dual effect is active, the producer can use any skill against the target, while the target is limited to only use the basic skill similar to a provoke. Now, the producer deals 50% more damage to the target under the dual effect, and champions not under the dual effect will deal 50% less damage to targets who are in a duel. So you're basically going to get a 50% damage reduction when the duel is on and fear is countering it, right? To end the duel, champions must deplete the producer's dual bar. This bar is equal to 1% of the producer's max HP. So we are thinking that is not a lot, 1%. But if the boss will have 1 billion HP on Ultra Nightmare, that would be quite a bit, you know? So
Yeah.
Bearing in mind the jewel goes on your lowest crit damage person as well. So probably not someone who does a lot of damage.
Yeah, and also War Master is not gonna do like percent. So it's gonna be capped out. So you won't be able to do that quickly, do that 1% damage quickly.
Yeah, which is pretty weak sauce, to be honest. And the dual effect has priority over Taunt Veil and Perfect Veil buffs. For example, the producer of the dual effect will always target the enemy under the dual effect rather than a champion under a Taunt buff. If the target of a dual effect is under a Veil or Perfect Veil buff, they will still be targeted by the effect's producer. So it is definitely a pretty hard one. The effect is guaranteed, cannot be removed, resisted, stolen, spread, or blocked. It will be pretty challenging to deal with that. As we saw, there are tons of different things that we still have to uncover. The same passive like we had on yesterday's form with all of the max HP, the poisons, the HP burn, all dealing a specific amount of damage. So that's pretty much all in terms of skills, at least on what we know so far, guys. I definitely think it's going to be a big challenge. The good part is that we have tons of different difficulties. Similar with the clan boss, we're going to have easy, normal, hard, brutal, nightmare, ultra nightmare, which kind of like brings me to the last question before we are ending the video, guys. Do you guys think this will be a daily clan boss, a weekly, 2-week clan boss, or what are your expectations?
I'm going to vote weekly.
Weekly.
Because I hope that's what it is.
That's a good reason. Yeah, I think maybe weekly as well. I hope it's not daily. There's too much to do every day.
Oof.
Yeah.
Especially when it's not auto-friendly.
Yeah.
Depends on how quick the fight is, though. It doesn't seem quick, but if it was quick, it'd be fine.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
True.
I'm going to go bi-weekly.
Bi-weekly?
It's a total guess, but I don't know. It went from daily to weekly.
I think so.
It seems, who knows, right? I think that weekly seems right to me, you know, but.
Yeah. Broski?
What if it's like a progressive way where it starts out as a Viper form, then a Ram form, then Lion form or whatever, then you have to be the ultimate form within a week.
Ooh,
so the quicker you do all of that, yeah.
Interesting. I don't think it's going to be daily just because that means we're going to get more rewards. And we all know how much they love to give us rewards. So daily, in my opinion, is out of the door, to be honest. Just because of that simple fact, you know. But guys, it was a pleasure to have you all on the channel to debunk a bit all of this information. And guys, let us know your thoughts in the comments down below, and head over to Ash's channel because we have a different collab right there. Plus, I'm gonna leave the links for all of these amazing guys in the description down below. Go drop them a follow. Guys, it was a pleasure to have you on the channel, and see you all on Ash's channel. Much love. Peace.